Okay, so officially, welcome to this session. This is the Disciplined Agile Meetup, the African Disciplined Agile Meetup. While we are also waiting for people to join and also getting ready for a great evening. Please, in our usual culture, if you can tell me where you're joining from. I'm joining from Melbourne, Australia. If you can just do that, that will be great, please. Just let us know where you are joining from, where you're joining from. Okay. So if you can also mute yourself if you're not talking, that will be great as well, so that we can have a good recording as well. Cool. So we've got people from Australia, of course, Lagos, Nigeria, Roddy, the UK, fan from Essex, UK. Oh, Jenna from Germany. Thank you for joining. Yinka from UK, United Kingdom is taking the house by like a storm. Of course, my big brother from Connecticut, USA, Poland. Thank you so much for joining. And I think our community is really expanding. Please keep it coming. Let us know where you are joining us from, and then we continue to move ahead. So it's 4 minutes past the hour, and so what I'm going to do now is to start and do a quick introduction in who we are, what we do, and just as an introduction. So. This is the Africa Disciplined Agile Meetup. This is a meetup that is set up a couple of months ago, over a year now, and we're a group of people that are committed to the real value, to promoting the real value of lean and agile practices. So we're not bound by frameworks. It's just doing amazing work, things that we can practically use in our everyday work or life, practical agility. So we are definitely individuals and organizations in Africa with an interest in developing our agile and lean practices, our strategic practices, everything that makes practical agility and ways of working better. So the expertise that we have in this group, we are people that build on knowledge transfer using different frameworks such as Scrum, Lean, Kanban, Safe, Lean Startup, all the Lean Agile life cycles and other practices as well. So our idea is you come to this session, you go away with something practical that you can try in the workplace. And I'm sure today's session will also be exceptional. Having said that, we are very it's a pleasure. Let me say it that way. We're very lucky. I want to say we are very lucky. In fact, we are indeed very lucky to have Pamela with us today. We will be looking at Agile Retrospectives for continuous improvement. We've been together for quite a long time, and we thought, what a way to end the year, just to look at what we have done over the years. You might be a regular. We have seen a lot of regulars in this group. And thank you for always showing up. And then you might be your first time. So whichever way, please, let's do a retro of how long you've been part of this group, or even if it's today's group alone. So we are going to talk about Agile Retrospectives for continuous improvement. That is our topic today. And Pamela is someone I respect so much. We have been collaborating for quite a long time, and we continue to collaborate, right? So I have gained a lot from Pamela, and I'm sure you will gain so much from our session today. So by way of introduction, let me quickly tell you more about Pamela. Pamela Ayodele is a leadership facilitator. She is a business agility coach and a digital and cultural transformation executive with a flair for data-driven and human-centric organizational change. She is a SAFE consultant, a conference speaker, a diversity, inclusion, and equity advocate. Pamela has over 15 years of combined learning experience as firstly a program and project manager, and then as an agile coach. She's been working on large-scale transformation programs, both in the private sector and also in the public sector. How much more do you want? She's touched virtually every area of project, program, and enterprise level projects or initiatives. So in her spare time, she loves to spend time with her family, doing what people may call mundane. She loves to garden. She loves to try new cuisines, and anything that make her heart skip a beat is also an added bonus. Without further ado, I would like to bring Pamela on board so that we can actually go into today's presentation and get you participate as well. Pamela, over to you.
Thank you very much, Pete. And it's an honor, a privilege, and a pleasure to be here with everyone this evening. So I'm going to quickly share my screen before give me a second, please. Okay, so as Pete has introduced me, I don't think I'm going to spend that much time introducing myself. I think quite a few people have come to support me. So hello to my UK-based people. Thank you very much for everyone that has joined today. So what we're going to be looking at is Agile Retrospective for Continuous Improvement. And quickly, a quick run through the agenda today. It's going to be a very short session, mainly because we actually want to jump into a live retrospective. So for those that have never actually had a retrospective before, we would have a practical example of what it looks like, what it feels like, and how we could begin to introduce it not only to our teams, but also our personal lives, because I strongly believe that retrospective is not just for team improvement. We can also apply it to our personal lives as well, seeing that it's towards the end of the year and people begin to make New Year resolutions. So this is one of the things that we can actually do to help enhance our ability to track and keep our resolutions if you're that kind of person that makes one. So we're going to quickly go into the introductions. Then we're going to look at what continuous improvement is, because the whole premise of having a retrospective is based on improvements, and not just a one-off improvement, but continuous improvement. If you're not improving, then you're literally dying, basically. So we need to continually improve in one or many areas of our lives. Then we're going to look at the purpose of a retrospective, and we're going to look at what a retrospective is not, which is really important because it sets the expectations and it helps you to begin to think about what you should not be doing or behaviors that are not acceptable when you're doing a retrospective, either in your team, your organizations, or even in your personal life as well. Then after that, we have questions and answers. If you have any questions, please feel free to start popping them in the chat as well. Pete will be monitoring it. And also, could we put ourselves on mute if we are not, if we're able to, please? I think it's a bit distracting.
Yep.
Thank you. So a little about me. I'm a skilled Agile trainer. That is my QR code for anyone that wants to follow me or join, connect with me on LinkedIn. So just I give you a couple of seconds to just scan it. And after the meeting, I'm more than happy to accept anyone's request. I'm a speaker, I'm a facilitator, I'm a mentor and a consultant as well. I love to coach teams, individuals to attain their desired outcome. And that word desired outcome is in inverted commas because it differs from person to person, team to team, organization to organization. And I also partner with individuals, teams, leadership, and organizations so that they can thrive. Thrive is also an operative word, meaning it's subject to what you think that means. So now, what is the continuous improvement? Just as a starter for 10, before I actually go into what it is, can we just use the chat function to actually, when you think about continuous improvement, what comes to mind? When you think about, okay, I really need to improve myself, what comes to mind? What are you thinking? So Pete, if you can help me read out some of the comments if people are writing in the chat.
Sure, I'll do that. All right, Femi said getting better one time and all the time, endlessly. I like that one. Awareness of where you are and where you want to be, and that is Karim. Karim is also one of the regulars here. Thank you, Karim. Florence says honest assessment and bold commitments.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. So yeah, so all that we have said is true about continuous improvement. As I said, if you're not continually improving yourself, then you need to have a serious discussion with yourself about yourself, on where you want to go in either your career or in life generally. So a quick definition of what continuous improvement is. Continuous improvement, usually in a product and in organizations, it's called CI, is a process known as Kaizen. It is an ongoing process of analyzing performance, identifying opportunities, and making incremental changes to processes, products, and skills. That is within an organizational context. But if we're going to contextualize it into our personal lives, you're going to sit down and have a retrospective about your life, maybe your year, about your family or whatever. What you're looking at is you're analyzing and identifying opportunities and making incremental changes. So you don't necessarily have to make big bang, massive changes, but little by little, that's the meaning of incremental, to whatever process you have in place in your family. So we start off by identifying the opportunities. You make a plan. So there's no point in identifying opportunities if you're not going to action it. So you make a plan and you execute it. And once you've executed that plan, what do? You review it. So that's where the cycle comes through. You're continually improving and it's a continuous process. And just put that at the back of your mind because that will tie into what a retrospective is. And that's called the continuous improvement cycle. So what is a retrospective? Can anyone come off mute to just tell me what their perspective of a retrospective is or what they think a retrospective is?
All right.
I'm loud.
Go for it, please.
So retrospective is actually from the word retrospect, which means to look back. One common myth with retrospectives is that people often think it's an opportunity to only look at what could be done better. But from a people perspective, we always start with what we did well so that we can get praise and inspired and motivated. So we look at what we did very well and we look for opportunities for improvement, and then tie back to Pamela's CI, continuous improvement. We look for what needs to change as we go forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so what is a retrospective? Now, a retrospective is an event, and this is speaking within an organizational context now. A retrospective is an event or a process that allows team or individuals to reflect on recently completed sprints, if you're working within a sprint, or a specific period of work. And in our case, it's over the 1 year that we've had the African Disciplined Agile going. So we're going to be reflecting over what we have done in the last 1 year within this context. Why do we need retrospectives? Now, retrospectives are really, really important because one of the primary goals of retrospective is to review, as I said, what we have done in the last year and improve. And what does that improvement mean? Because once you're improving, then once you're having a retrospective, you are able to look at your performance and improve whatever processes that you have in place, review, or sometimes even completely abandon whatever is not working. So nothing is ever set in stone. It's about continually reviewing, collaborating, and talking about whatever you have in place with your team or your family, in as whatever the case may be. And in our case, with Pete and the Disciplined Agile community. And we're going to go on to the how. It provides a structured and regular opportunity for teams to discuss what went well, what isn't going well, and what could be done differently in the future. So it's really, really important for us to have that sense of nostalgia. Okay, let's look back. Let's understand what haven't we done well? What could we do better? And what have we actually done well? Because it's not, there shouldn't be a negative connotation to retrospective. Retrospective is not a negative word. Then we're going to be looking at what is the purpose of a retrospective. Now, before we go into this session, right, with everything I have said, why do you think we actually need a retrospective? And we can use the chat function and Peter just randomly call out a couple of comments. Why do we need a retrospective? In your organization, if you have retrospectives, why do you do retrospectives? Are you just doing it for the sake of doing it, or just because it's part of, if you're working within a Scrum context, is it because you are in a Scrum team? What is the importance of having a retrospective?
All right, we have the first one from Mike. Mike is saying to assess performance across the board. And they keep coming, I can't keep track. We also have Vinka saying to identify buy-in and accountability. Sorry, that's Karim. Vinka says to identify areas of improvement. Sylvie, a couple of more I will say is inspect our work and team performance and also adapt to changes.
Okay, fantastic. And yeah, all those are really valid. So one of the things that a retrospective will do is help you to gather data. Data gathering is really important because your team will collect and review data related to the sprints. And in this case, data related to what we have done in the last 1 year, which includes metrics, feedbacks, and observations. Observations are so powerful. How do you get that feedback from your team if you're not gathering data that's related to what you have worked on? Generate insights. Team members discuss what has worked well, what didn't go well in that sprint, and identify successes and areas for improvement. So you're generating insight as you're having retrospectives. Decide a decision. So based on the insight you have generated, the team will collaborate to decide on an action item on how to address and identify issues, and also to improve outcomes for the next sprint. Assign responsibility. So there's no point in having a retrospective if it's not going to be actioned. And one way in which you can make sure that an action takes place is to actually assign the responsibility, which would have deadlines and completion dates, because you can't allow actions just go on in perpetuity without any resolution. Then follow up. It's really important that you just don't agree on an action, you need to follow up, because once you've assigned responsibility and it has been actioned, then you need to make sure that in the subsequent retrospective, you visit that particular action to review progress and to see where you are at with that particular action, or you continue with it or even refine on that action. Then what a retrospective isn't, it's not a solutionizing session. You're not there to solutionize. It's also not a blame game. The point of a retrospective is not to blame anyone. It's not to blame, point fingers or assign blame. Remember, it's a collaborative effort. A retrospective, is not an exercise in suppressing opinion. Everybody has a voice. Everybody has equal opinions, and everybody should be free to be able to express their opinion, to be listened to be heard, and to be available. So it should be a psychologically safe space for people to be able to express themselves. It's not a shouting match. I know emotions can run high. People can get very heated because we're all passionate people and we really want things to be very successful. But this is not an opportunity for you to shout at people or bark orders at people. Also, it's not trial by retrospective. You understand? We're not in a courtroom. So reserve judgments. We're not there to judge anyone. It's not also an opportunity for us to flex hierarchy because, we're all there to make sure that, we have a successful retrospective and sprint going forward. So it's not a time for a director or a manager to come in and flex their hierarchy and tell people off. And also, it's not a management evaluation. The management should actually, to be very honest, not be part of your retrospective. So if you have management wanting to be part of your retrospective, that is an anti-pattern. And the Scrum Master or whoever is running the retrospective should make sure that these things don't happen and it's a safe space for people. Complete without, so you need to have an action item. You need to be able to complete without, you need to be able to complete action items at the retrospective. So it's really important for you to leave with an action. And it's not a one-time occurrence. It's an ongoing thing. So after every sprint, there should be a retrospective for you to be able to tell what went well and all that. This is an example of a sample retrospective board. And I don't know how many of us have had retrospective, but if you've ever run, there are different types of retrospectives and there are different formulas and there are so many other boards that we can use and everything. So this is a very good example of one. This is a very simple one. What didn't go well? What went well? And action items. And what we're going to do now is at some point in the next 2 minutes, we'll jump onto a live retrospective board, which Pete will put in the chat. Are there any questions? Sorry, just give me 1 second, please.
Yep.
Okay. Are there any questions? If you have any, are there any questions in the?
There is one question that I'm trying to answer actually from Florence. I can quickly give that to you so you can have your perspective as well. So the question from Florence is, how do you distinguish a solutioning session and the action deciding during a retrospective? So Pema, what she's asking is, how do you distinguish what to discuss and what not to discuss, and when to know it's turning into a solutioning session?
That is why you've got your Scrum Master.
That's it.
The Scrum Master is there to facilitate or help facilitate this session. So when it starts becoming a solutionizing session and everything, your Scrum Master should be there to be able to facilitate that conversation.
Yeah, exactly my answer to that. I just said this is a good question. This is where we need a facilitator, and I put in bracket a Scrum Master or a team coach to know which items to deal with and which items to turn into action items with leads to solutioning. All right, cool. Dapo is saying, at what point can you cancel a retro?
Why would you need to cancel a retro? Under what conditions? I think the only time I would say you can maybe cut short a retro is if people are really heated and totally out of control and people are unable to get their emotions in check. So there are a few things you can do to be able to calm people down. But if not so, I would not really advocate for a retro to be canceled. What you can do in that situation is either try to calm people down or let people walk away. But the retro should not be a bonfight. Femi has his hands up, so I will let Femi. Sorry.
Yes,
give me 1 second,
I was actually
please.
just going to share. Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was actually just going to share a real life example of that same question was asked of me today. I had a Scrum Master reach out and say, "Oh, I've got a question for you. We're a team of 10 and we've got a retrospective coming up. Only 3 of us are available. Should I cancel?" In typical Agile format, I said, I can't give you a direct answer. There's no yes or no. But I had to contextualize it and say, in my opinion, the retro should never be cancelled. You still go ahead, even though there's only 3 of you. And you need to probably consider having that retrospective action to talk about the fact that there were only a few of you. We went backwards and forwards a little bit. In my opinion, even the Scrum Guide advocates that if you cancel any one of the events or the ceremonies, then you're actually messing about with Scrum. So the only time I will cancel it, if only the Scrum Master turns up and no one else sits there. But even with that, what I said is, if I'm the Scrum Master and I'm the only one there, I would just sit there for about 10 minutes, get a cup of tea and relax and reflect. So I just wanted to share that with you guys.
All right, thank you very much. Any more questions?
All right, there is one more question. Dapo, I believe that your question has been fully answered. So Bimbola Fashola is saying, what is the recommended number of action items to be integrated into the upcoming sprint for enhancing performance in the subsequent sprint?
Sorry, who asked that question?
Bimbola.
Okay, so Bimbola, I would ask you, what do you actually feel is a not recommended amount of items that you can put into your sprint backlog, considering the fact that you have got sprint planning and items from the sprint backlog that needs to be actioned as well?
Yeah, Bimbola, feel free to unmute.
Yeah, unmute yourself.
Okay, so she just typed in, I think the most prioritized. I think she's saying the most prioritized item.
Right. So you've answered your own question, but so it's the most prioritized, which is usually one. You can't have 2 priorities, can you? So, all right. Any more questions? I'm conscious that we have some time. Okay, so we've got like maybe another 5 minutes for questions, then we have to jump into the retro.
Yeah, there is no other question at the moment. It's just comments, and yeah, there are a lot of comments anyway.
All right then. Okay, thank you very much. So have you shared the link in the chat?
I've shared it, and I've just shared it again. Currently, we've got a couple of people on the Miro bot. So I've just shared a link on the Miro on the chat box, everyone. Please, if you click on that link, you will be able to get to a digital whiteboard, the Miro. Some of us must have used that before. We have used this Miro board in this in this group before. So and it's very intuitive, very easy to use. Please jump on that Miro board, and I can see the number growing. We have about 15 people on the board already.
Okay, so let me just give you the guidelines with how we're going to run this retro. What we're going to do so that we can maximize our time and have a very valuable experience. What we're going to do is everyone jump on the Miro board. And another thing I must mention is that retrospectives are always time boxed. We're always time boxed because we don't have the whole time in the world. So usually it's between 60 to 90 minutes for a retrospective. Anything longer than that just becomes a moan fest and just really becomes boring. People will lose concentration, people will zone out, and people would not be very engaged. So I would limit the time to 90 minutes max. That's if, that's for number one. Number two, what we're going to do is we're going to go onto this board. We have 4 different quadrants. What we're going to do is look at what we liked about the this year's Disciplined Agile Meetup. So what was good about it? What have we learned, and what did the team learn? Basically, you as an individual. What do you think we lacked in terms of this particular team, and how long, what do you long for, or what new ideas do you have? So what we're going to do is in 7 minutes, so Pete is going to time box us 7 minutes, get a sticky note, put everything there. And what we're going to do is we're going to group it in order of themes. So Pete is going to do that in the background. And Femi, if you can help us as well. And if Idris is there, anyone, we're going to affinity group it. And once we've affinity grouped it, then we're going to have a discussion around the different quadrants. So if we can do that in 7 minutes, that would be great.
Okay, cool. All right. So first of all, we've got a couple of sticky notes so that you don't have to create one by the left and the right. Please grab one and click on it, and you can type your comments. One comment on each sticky note, and then I am going to just start the time. 7 minutes, and then hopefully, if we need more time, I will give more time as well. Pamela, do you want me to share my screen for the board, or?
Yes, please. Oh, am I not sharing my screen?
You're sharing your, I'm still saying the.
Oh, I am
PPT.
so sorry. Do you know, I just
fine.
thought that I was sharing my screen. Okay, let me stop sharing and.
Okay, good. While we have that.
Second, and I would share this.
If you have any question, please feel free to drop it in the chat box. We'll be looking at that as well.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yeah. I'm happy to share from here as well if you want me to. Please, I can see a limited number of activities there. All you need to do is just to grab one and take it to the box. So let's do what we need to do on that one. Okay, good. Well done, everybody that is writing. Thank you.
Okay, I hope people are not having challenges to actually drag the sticky notes.
Okay, I
sometimes.
can take a few.
Yeah, let's put some on the
board itself.
On the board itself. I think it would be. Oops. Okay, hope we've not exceeded our time box.
Now we still have close to 2 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the timer is running.
Okay, that's fine. We don't, hold on, let's see. We don't need to use all the time box. If people have finished, then can we start affinity grouping them in the background?
Yeah, I'm looking at them
Are there
already.
any common themes?
Yes, I'm looking at them already.
Okay, I guess maybe not everyone would be able to participate because for some people, this probably is their first meeting.
I understand, and so many
So,
people always join on their phone as well, so it's quite difficult to do that.
yeah, it's difficult. Yeah. Okay.
All right, I've actually not been looking at the chat. Let me look at what we've got there. Okay, cool. Nothing. All right, that's the time box.
Okay, that's fantastic. So, quick question: how did that feel for everyone? I mean, I don't know how many people have experienced or done a retrospective before, but this first stage, what are our thoughts with regards to what has just happened now? And do you have any questions about it? Because the value of a retrospective is in the conversation.
Please feel free to give me your comment, give us a comment.
My name is Anthony.
Just go for it.
Okay, so maybe for some people that are new in this particular use of this tool, perhaps a demo would have been good before even starting, so that people can effectively use it effectively, right?
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Feedback taken on board. You can put that as part of your retrospective item, to be very honest, because that's something we could probably look at. Okay, so what we're going to do now is look at the liked comment, what was good. And I'm going to read out a couple of the post-it notes. I don't think anything is, are there any groupings?
Yeah, I've tried to do a couple of groupings over there. For example, people have moved things around again. Yeah, right. Cool, that's fine. Okay. So if you look at the bottom side of the screen, consistency, collaboration, commitment, and then to the right side, there is access to experienced practitioner and introductory level coaching for, I don't know what that word means.
Neophytes.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. All right. So let's have a look at the like section. We can take ourselves off mute now because this is meant to be the collaborative session of it. Talking about it, we generate conversation around what we liked. So can anyone tell me in terms of, so I'll read out a couple of the tickets. So shared learning experience. Would anyone like to talk about that, or whoever raised that ticket, would you like to talk about it?
I think that was mine. And I just want to echo what someone said, that it might be the first time that they're trying an interactive tool. If you didn't say that, no one would have known, because we've all learned from sharing our expertise. So that experience is probably something that, for those who are trying it for the first time, they're not going to forget, because now you can't say, I've never used it before. Now everyone is an expert using Miro.
And since I was the author of that one, You're right on there, my big man. That's what I was talking about. We learn from each other, and we learn something new each time someone says something. And that's kind of what I meant by shared learning experience. We all gain just from the conversations.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for sharing, Femi and Patrick. And one that has really jumped out to me is the safe space. Safe space. That is a very powerful word. Safe space. So would we like to discuss what makes this space feel safe for you? What does that mean to you in terms of safe space? Not sure who wrote that ticket. But
I wrote it, but I'll let someone else talk about it because
right, okay.
Because we both know what it means, but someone else who anyway, let me just preempt it. So at the start, I think you mentioned non-judgmental environment where we feel trusted, where we don't feel intimidated. There were a few words you said in your introduction that just made this total space safe for everyone, no matter how new you are. No one's judging. You know, we all learn from one another. And I felt so safe in this space that I can say anything and not be judged that, oh, that's silly, or, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. So it's a safe space for us to learn and share. That's what I meant.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly read out the tickets of what you actually liked. So access to experienced practitioners, introductory level coaching for neophytes. Not sure what neophytes means, but whoever wrote it, you know, fantastic. Diverse collection of individuals, orderliness, safe space, that the initiative exists at all. Okay, that's really good. Collaboration, consistency, and commitment. So, Pete, that's what people have liked so far with regards to this. Then let's move on to the other quadrant, which is what have we learned? So it says collaborative techniques and tools, a wide range of agile frameworks, the essence of one team, collaboration within the team, agile ways of working, agile principles. So they're all within the same theme. So it's just going to be an open-ended question. Let's just pick one ticket, whoever, just pick one ticket and let's have that discussion. And I would like to hear from somebody that actually hasn't spoken today, but I'm not going to pick out anyone. So just feel free to unmute yourself and pick a ticket and discuss it, or pick your ticket and discuss it. So what have we learned from the 1 year that we have actually been attending this meetup?
All right, guys, feel free to unmute yourself and let's talk about the learned. Karim, what did the team learn? What have you learned? Someone that has not spoken before. Benjamin, are you willing to say something? I see you on mute now.
Well, I guess we've learned that there are a lot of shy people in the group here.
Yeah. Well, I can say something while someone is really looking to
Hello.
Oh, Yinka, please go ahead.
Okay, we've got Yinka raising her hands. Or is it his hands?
All right. Good evening, everyone.
Yeah.
Good morning, wherever you had, and good evening throughout Nigeria here. So basically, for me, is actually the continuous learning culture. So most of the time, when you have opportunity to bond with professionals, I've seen Pamela, Femi, Patrick, Peter, you guys have said the same thing in different way. And basically, during retrospective sessions, most of the time, you can say what we did better or what we need to improve. what we need to improve or what is didn't go well with the team. So the same word in different dimensions. And for me, continuous learning culture, you come here, you listen to professionals, people who have done this thing over time, and you will agree with me that Scrum is based on what we call empirical control theory. Empirism is based on this, and we say decision is based on what is known. So when Femi is saying some things to me, with something he has done over time, it gives me that opportunity. For me, what has worked for me here is continuous learning culture. Most of the time, you might not be able to do it on your own, except when you just listen to people, you take a note, you listen to people, you go back to your team, you go and practice, especially some of us who are practitioners. So you just go back to your team and you say, you just need somebody else to tell you and say, you go back to your team, you go and practice it. Most of us here might not be maybe trainers, some of us train, but some of us are actually hands-on. We are doing it, we are making, and the one telco is putting you that, but say you are going online, you must do something. So this thing is actually more critical. So for me, what has worked for me here is continuous learning culture. That's for me there. So thank you, everyone. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. Thank you very much, Olayinka, and thank you for being honest, vulnerable, and transparent with your response. Because, as we said, you can't make improvements if you don't gather the data. How would we be able to make that improvement if we are not able to express what you actually are thinking, feeling at that particular point in time? Samuel has his hands up. So do you want to have a go, Samuel?
Okay, good evening. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. We can hear you.
I've not used this tool before. This mirror is quite interesting because, yeah, then have a lot of people joining their own, using the card, and and they are putting in their own information, not being judged, not being coerced. Today, we're going to plan the move of a week, and some persons were too vocal, while some were quiet. I wish, well, this is an eye-opener. I will have to go and learn how to use this tool so that in the next meeting, I can make those who don't talk, and try to reduce the influence of those who are too vocal. Yeah. Thank you for this meeting. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Samuel. Okay, so we're going to look at what we think the session or the meetup has lacked so far. And this is not by any means a criticism on the meetup, but what do we think it has lacked? And we've got a few people here that have, one person here that said icebreaker. I think I know who this will come from. Then free lunch or dinner. That would be interesting. Okay. I'm sure we can work something out virtually. Praise from leadership for an excellent sprint. We met sprint goal. Oh, okay. And motivation. Then lack of training on the Miro tool. Sorry, there's a lot of scribble over. Shared curriculum. I think I'm quite interested in the person that puts motivation. Do you want to expatiate a little bit more in terms of what you mean by it lacked motivation?
Hello.
Hi.
Yes, my name is Mutiat. I have been participating for some time. I'm sorry, I got carried away by thinking in organizational context, and at the same time, I came back and then realized that, oh, we're assessing the meetup actually, but still, it's still relevant. I'm sure Pete knows I am always silent, but I listen, and that's because I do not have hands-on experience when it comes to Scrum, Agile, but I'm just a junkie. I learn, I currently I'm still in the learning process. I'm gathering every data, every information, every certification I can, garner here and there. And then when I'm ready to start using it, then I start. The reason why I said motivation is because when I joined, I was looking out to pick out actually one person I could approach and say, oh, I need you to be my mentor. And along the line, I could not really, pick one person. I know Mr. Femi, and not that I know him personally. I mean, I know him each time I come on, and he's always actively participating. And I like the way everyone interacts. Obviously, you guys are like friends or something, but I'm still not motivated to actually approach one person and say, oh, could you be my mentor, and then guide me through how my process of diversifying from being an insurance professional, and then here I'm trying to move into Agile, Scrum, and everything here and there. So it's right now, it's a lot for me. I feel like I'm not motivated. So I gave it a shot this night to okay, come on board again and say what's going on. Because when I saw the topic and then what will be discussed, I thought we were just going to be, do regular practice and regular talk. But I didn't know it was going to be like this. So I'm glad that this came up. Not to say that anything wrong has been going on. Like I said, it's personal. And it's just me saying, this is me. So I hope I have not stepped on toes, and this is taken constructively.
By no means. That's why it's a retrospective. It's not about stepping on toes. And if you go back to my slide, I did say that,
I remember you
no
mentioned that.
criticism, it's a safe space and all that. It's a very safe space. So I don't think anyone is going to take this personal and everything. Pete has got his hands up, but before we get to you, Pete, what we're going to do is just jump onto the longed idea, what we longed for, or new ideas, just to discuss that. So I will go through some of the tickets here. Incentives.
So yes, that incentive is also from me. So
right, okay, that's fine. Let me just complete reading the tickets, then we will go into a whole discussion about it. What you want, focus time, more practice time, TGI Friday. Well, I wish I could have that as well. But today is not Friday, so I'm not sure how we can work that in. Then intro to Agile, and experience sharing of real use cases of implementing disciplined Agile. Okay, and we need to invest in tools that we need to get better with testing code. Okay, this is quite interesting. Whoever wrote that one, can you explain yourself? Because I'm not sure what you mean by that.
So that was a fictitious team.
Oh, right, okay.
So, picture a typical real team that had problem testing their code in a sprint. And then during the retrospective, everybody was wondering, why did we test our code properly? So it was just a real,
all right,
bringing
okay,
in a bit of different slant, yeah?
All
so
right.
some organizations don't invest in tools, but they expect testing to be done correctly. So you can't have your test coded, your code tested properly if you don't buy the test tools. Just an example.
Okay, all right, cool. So I think for me here, we're looking at experiences, sharing of real use cases, implementing disciplined Agile, which is a valid case. So who wrote that? I'm conscious that we have a couple of minutes left, so we're just going to quickly do this, take 1 or 2 action items into next year. But Pete, you have the whole board available to you. So what you're going to do is you're going to look at it, reflect it, and look at the new ideas, look at what we lacked, look at what we've learned, and we're going to amalgamate it and, put it in our improvements for the next year and everything. So experience sharing real use cases of implementing Disciplined Agile. That's one of the things that, is longed for. And Introduction to Agile. So who wrote Introduction to Agile? Is that a training on Introduction to Agile? Do you want to clarify? Okay, so we're not getting any response. So Pete, you've got so generally, this is how a retro works, right? You categorize it, you plan and prepare for your retro, don't go unprepared. And I think the most important thing is the conversation it has generated today in terms of, and if you were in a real life team situation, you would have interactions with the team members, you would have that collaboration and that discussion with regards to the different quadrants that we've put here. As I said, there are many retro ideas out there. This is not the only retro format you can use. There's so many formats out there and everything. And I think what we can do is also attach some links to some retro formats as well, as part of the follow-up email as well. So you might find that helpful. They have templates and everything you can follow. But I think one thing I would like to say here is that it's about the conversation, the collaboration, and the ability to have that team discussion with regards to, and you have to be really honest and transparent with regards to the conversations you're having. It's by no means a judgment on anyone and all that. So Pete, you've got your hands on and you've had it on for a long time. But for me, this is the close of this particular retro, but we can have further discussions about that and we're on the dot. So Pete, over to you. And thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. We can't help.
Great presentation, Pamela.
Yeah, very, very good presentation. Right. I'm going to come to you, Abimbola. But before I come to you, I really want to comment on Mutiat's, motivation. Now, first of all, I want to commend you for really coming out to really tell us how you feel about that, which is really, really great. Now, you did mention a few names here, the people that I respect so much in this community. Most of us are African. In fact, all of us are Africans doing amazing things all over the world. Now, just like you, we all started somewhere, someday. And just like you, we got demotivated, we got derailed. And just like you, we keep putting ourselves up so that we attend sessions like this. Now, one thing I need you to know, and I think Femi, Pamela, Taiwo will not mind this, behind the scene, what we do is we connect with each other. So what is standing between you and getting a mentor is that one LinkedIn message. If whoever you like, Pamela, please, can you give me 1 hour every month? Can you give me half an hour every month? And honestly, 99% of the time, 99 out of 100 times, when you have someone, they will say yes. Because what gives us joy is giving back to the community. That is why I can wake up at 5 a.m. to come and attend to you guys. That is why Pamela can still come up after 2 days of back-to-back, workshop in our organization to still present to you tonight. So you are human, I am human, but please do not hesitate in reaching out to anyone, okay? Anyone that you really want to learn from. And this what's it called? This meetup is actually for all of us to relate without judgment. Is a very safe place, whether you're a beginner or you're the expert. So I just want to really share that, and kudos to you for that as well. Every time we meet, we always talk about LinkedIn connection. We always talk about reach out. That is not messy. It is, we really, really mean it, okay? We really, really mean it. Thank you so much. All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, Pamela did say that we will share links to retro templates. So I'll share some links to you with you in a follow-up email, and the recording will be shared as well. So look out for that towards the end of this week or sometime in the future. This is going to be the final meetup for the year. It's November, and December we just need a break, and then we will reconvene next year. Now, one thing for sure is some of these things that we have mentioned today, I've already put some action items together. We suggest that these 3 action items that I've put here, we'll be looking at it next year. For example, if we are to use tools, we have, even if it's just 2 minutes or 3 minutes of demo, we're going to do that. We're going to reach out to, this is on you, everyone. If you are thinking of reaching out to practitioners, please do. Worst case scenario, you will get a no. And a no doesn't mean I can't help you, but I am choked at the moment. And that means you can reach out to someone else. Please reach out. The third thing is there is a action item of experience sharing real use cases of implementing DA. There are DA practitioners in the house. Patrick is one. I'm one as well. It's a toolkit. So if you're using Scrum, if you're using Kanban, if you're using all those tools, they are part of the toolkit. However, we'll be bringing use cases at least a couple of the sessions next year so that we can see. So those 3 I tried. The 2 of them are on me and the presenters, and the middle one is on everybody. So you all are taking an action item out of today's session. Now, I'll keep quiet now, and I'll allow Abimbola to say something before we close for the day.
Yeah, good evening, everyone.
Evening to you.
All right, I have a question. I actually work in a startup, and we've been using one retro tool, that's remoteretro.org, since the beginning of the product's development. And I personally feel it may bore the team. Should we consider transitioning to a new retrospective tool, or you think we should stick with the one that is already known? What would be your advice?
What is the availability? Is it a free tool? You're a startup, right? Are you paying for, is the company able to pay for something different? Are you the only one who's uncomfortable with that tool? So you may have to talk to the entire team and, take a poll. Are you all comfortable with this tool? Is it doing it for us? And once you take it from there, then you can take it upon yourself. Go out and try a variety of free tools or different tools out there. And then you can come back with the experience you gain from that. And you can present that to the rest of your team and say, hey, you know what? I tried out Jira's tool, or I tried out the Rally's tool. It makes it so much easier. Do you guys want to go test it out too? But you have to come to agreement as a tool. You can't impose your preference on the rest of the team.
Good comment there. Thank you, Patrick. That's a very, very valid point. So consider as a team sport. You need to consider your team before you take a decision. However, I also want to point you in the direction of the Agile Manifesto. The very first says individuals and interactions over processes and tools. Now, tools are very important. You just mentioned remoteretro.com. You, in your own experience, you feel the interaction is not really there. It's inhibiting the way you're interacting. If most people feel that way, just like Patrick said, then it might be an opportunity to test and learn. Try another tool. Just say, oh, guys, for our next upcoming retro, let's try this tool. If it works for us, then people will say, oh, yeah, let's move to this next tool. Of course, as a startup, you want to consider cost and all those things as well. So the most important thing with the retro is, how are you interacting? Is it helping you is the tool helping you to tell you to really give what you like, what you don't like, what you want to improve? Can you take your action items? Is it integrated into other tools that you use? For example, if you use Jira, for example, is retro.com integrated so that you don't have to go back and forth? Because if you have to go back and forth, you have some action items, but you need to log into retro.com, right? Before you can look at that action item. You forget it. The next time you remember is the next 2 weeks when you want to do another retro. You don't want that. So there's no one size fits all on this particular question. So Bimbola, please go back to your team and just test with them so that you're not making a unilateral decision. And that is what we will be advising. All right. cool. Abimbola, you have a question?
Yes, thank you. The tool is actually good. It's okay. But I just feel like using the same tool once in every 2 weeks can bore the team out. So I feel like we should try something new. Won't it bore the team out? Won't they feel like we are doing the same thing every 2 weeks? We are using the same tool. So that's just my reason of thinking of another tool.
If I may.
Yes, please.
Anna. So thanks for clarifying that, Abimbola. It's not the tool.
Yep.
It's not the tool. Nothing to do with the tool. You can get the best tool in the world. Tools are there, like a farmer or a sewing mistress or a blacksmith. The tools do not produce the output. The people using the tools produce the output. So it's probably more about how the sessions are facilitated. Remember what Picture said about the individuals and interactions. Tools are just there to help you do the job better. The human elements are probably the ones who make it more exciting and more interesting and more interactive. So there are thousands of ways you can try Google. You can speak to the mentors you work with for how to revitalize your retrospectives. Yeah. So you can still stick with your tool, but find ways, innovative ways, experimental ways, fun ways of making your retrospectives more attractive.
Yeah, just to add to what Femi has said, and that's why we have different templates. So you have to be innovative and creative with the way you run your retros. So right now we've used this one. There's so many tools out there. There's Sailboat, the Iceberg. There's so many retrospective templates that you can use. And there's so much information on YouTube that you can use as a point of reference as well. So whatever, even if you're using an Excel sheet, to be very honest, so the tool, the emphasis should not be on the tool that you're using, because you can use Google Sheets, you can use anything at all, and I'm not a big advocate of jumping from tool to tool, because you just lose track and lose trend of any improvements or any, historical data that you've had with regards to your retrospective. So I'm not a big advocate of jumping from one tool to the other.
All right, I am looking at the time. I want us to close probably in the next 3 minutes. I've got Yinka as hands on, and so we're going to go to Olayinka, and then after our comment, question, or whatever it is, feedback, we are going to close for today. All right, cool. Yeah. Olayinka.
Thank you so much again for this great opportunity. All right, so when I joined the call the other time, Femi and Peter was talking about a safe environment. Just the contributions to what Abimbola was asking. I think what I'm saying maybe is an opportunity to investigate why the team are not interacting as much as possible. Maybe might need to be looking into that, how people feel within that environment. Is it a safe environment for them? Do they think so you can do some kind of background check, because basically all my professors here, they've answered it. It's not about the two, individual and interactions over processes and two. So regardless, whatever the two is. So, but this is opportunity for you to investigate into maybe what is the root cause of these issues. And believe me, if you do that, there's tendency you find it and you resolve it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Golden. Thank you, Olayinka, for really bringing that on. All right, cool. So I think we have actually come to the end of this session. You will agree with me that we have a golden nuggets. We have so many golden nuggets today. It looks simple, but it's really, really full on. And I like the way that Pamela has actually brought this to us from that simple idea to really trying our hands on on a real retro, using a real case study of these meetup. And of course, thank you all, everyone, for your participation. Thank you for your feedback. So on behalf of the community, I want to thank you, Pamela. Thank you so much for being a supporter, and thank you for really bringing your knowledge and sharing it with us today. Really appreciate it. Now, like I said earlier on, November is our in the final session for this year, and possibly January we're going to miss it because we're going to really plan for the year, and it's going to be festive mode. If whatever happens in January, I will communicate with everyone via email, and the invite will always be there through our channels as well. So, but tentatively, it's going to be a February start, and then throughout the year of 2024. So I'm looking forward to you having you next year. And before then, just keep swinging, and let's do Agile the right way. Thank you, everyone. And then I'm going to close the meeting.
If you have any questions, any ideas, keep sending them to him. We're going to spend that period developing what comes up next year. So this folks you see talking and looking there, they'll find some free time to put something that helps you out together. So feel free to send those ideas and questions to him, and we'll take it from there. You should also give them the group link so they make sure they join that group.